The film opens with a surreal moment as a delicate bubble drifts through the air and pops on Ja-yeong's forehead, abruptly waking her from sleep. Drawn by eerie sounds, she peeks outside her room and spots her sister In-young, limping in slow circles down the hallway. Ja-yeong calls out her name, but a doll mysteriously drops into her room and slides away through the doorframe. Unease growing, Ja-yeong cautiously steps into the hallway to find In-young, noticing the doll lying beneath the couch. As she reaches to retrieve it, the doll is suddenly yanked under, startling her. Cautiously lowering herself for a closer look, Ja-yeong's heart races as In-young swiftly emerges from below the couch, moving steadily toward her with a haunting malice on her face. Before Ja-yeong can react, In-young seizes her throat, choking her with unnatural strength while letting out a chilling, sinister laugh. Suddenly, Ja-yeong's stepsister Sawoo shakes her awake, asking if she is okay. Ja-yeong joins a Zoom call with her friends, where Ji-ho reminds everyone of a $50,000 YouTube contest. Ji-ho shares a video of a Seance ritual claiming to reveal future events. Although Mi-yeon calls it fake, Ji-ho insists they make a mockumentary horror about high schoolers vanishing after using the ritual. Everyone agrees to Ji-ho's plan, and he suggests they meet on Saturday. Ja-yeong asks, "Don't they need 6 people to participate?" And Ji-ho jokes, "Anyone know someone dumb enough to join us?" Ja-yeong steps aside to speak with her stepsister Sawoo, telling her about the fun project and inviting her to join. After some time, Ja-yeong returns to the group and announces that Sawoo is in. The group meets on Saturday and takes a group photo before heading to the filming location. As they prepare to leave, Ja-yeong catches sight of a girl in the mirror, but when she turns around, no one is there. The group finally steps inside the eerie room in the basement of that building, and Dong curiously asks what these pillars are for, and Ji-ho guesses they might have been used to mark water levels. Then, Ji-ho's eyes catch a tub of dark water sitting in the middle of the room, and he explains that this water was vital for the ritual. He continues that during the Japanese occupation, this reservoir processed all the water from northern Seoul. Over time, water spirits and restless ghosts were drawn in and trapped beneath it. When Sawoo asks how deep it is, he says the spirits are so dense they absorb the light, making it seem bottomless, though it's shallow. The group asks what to do next, and Ji-ho tells them to grab a sheet of paper and write down the questions they've always wanted to ask the spirits. Ja-yeong asks, what if they actually try the ritual for real? Everyone stares at her, but she insists, saying they should give it one real attempt, and if nothing happens, they'll go back to doing it Ji-ho's way. Ji-ho thinks for a moment, then admits that if it actually worked, it'd take their video to a whole new level. When he asks the others, Sawoo says she is in. Ji-ho then glances over and asks who'll be the vessel for the ritual, and Sawoo responds that she'll do it. Next, we see everyone quietly writing their questions on their paper, and Ja-yeong softly tells Sawoo that she doesn't have to do this if she's scared, but Sawoo says she wants to. As Sawoo starts writing her own question, Ja-yeong gently ties an anklet around Sawoo's leg. Surprised, Sawoo says it's the first time she has ever given her a gift, and she wraps her arms around Ja-yeong in a warm hug. Ji-ho then gives everyone precise instructions. Each person must fill their bowl with the spirit-infused water and sit at one of the points of the star. In the center stands the vessel, her face completely covered. The questioners light a candle beside their bowls, then place their written questions face down into the water. Ji-ho explains that the vessel must step barefoot into the spirit water for the ritual to begin. To end the possession, you must first say, "Please leave," before removing the bag from the vessel's head, and everyone must exit the circle in the exact order they received their answers. The group sits in tense silence, waiting for Sawoo to become possessed, but minutes pass, and nothing happens. The air grows heavy, and boredom slowly sets in. Then, Ja-yeong notices a bubble floating above Sawoo's head, and she nervously asks if anyone else sees it. But before they can respond, loud thumping sounds echo through the room, startling everyone. Suddenly, Sawoo's hand rises, and she drops to her knees, her body twisting unnaturally. Then, she straightens up, raises her other hand, and rips the bag, revealing her eyes, now completely possessed. Then, Sawoo starts laughing, softly at first, then louder, and her hand slowly begins to move in an anti-clockwise motion, finally stopping as it points straight at Mi-yeon. Mi-yeon glances down at her paper and sees a single word forming there: wrong. Ji-ho's eyes widen as Sawwoo's hand shifts toward him, and on his paper, the word right appears. The others watch in stunned silence as her finger moves again, this time toward Yoon, whose paper now reads flower. Dong hesitantly looks down at his own sheet, the word right spreading across the page before his eyes. Finally, Sawwoo's trembling finger points at Ja-yeong, and when she looks down, her paper, too, now reads right. Suddenly, Sawwoo collapses forward and begins counting numbers from 662 in a deepening, unnatural voice, until she reaches 666 and locks eyes with Ja-yeong. She then suddenly lunges at Ja-yeong. Her movements are wild, accompanied by a low, guttural growl that barely sounds human, but it was as if her foot had been stuck, refusing to let her go. Suddenly, the candle goes out, plunging the room into darkness, but Jae-ho quickly switches his camera to night mode and spots Sawwoo limping slowly through the water in circles. Then, the lights begin to flicker violently, and Ja-yeong freezes when she realizes that Sawwoo is moving exactly like Young did in her dream. Terrified, the group rushes forward to pull Sawwoo out of the water, and Ja-yeong takes off her mask. They desperately try to revive Sawwoo, but nothing works. Just then, they notice a mark on Sawwoo's foot, and Yi-yoon insists they call for help. But Ji-ho proceeds to upload the teaser, saying he never expected to capture something this intense. Dong explodes, calling Ji-ho a jerk for caring more about his video than Sawwoo's condition. Then Yi-yoon realizes there's no signal, and Ji-ho, shocked, whispers that it was working just a moment ago. They rush toward the door, but it refuses to budge, locked tight despite their frantic attempts. Dong grabs his baseball bat and hits the doorknob with it, breaking it down, but when he tries to open it, the door remains unmoved. Meanwhile, a deep, distorted murmur slithers through the room. Mi-yeon tilts her head slowly, and she sees a demonic entity right above her. It pries her mouth open with its clawed hands and forces itself inside, leaving Mi-yeon trembling and motionless. The others watch her intently as Mi-yeon struggles to speak, insisting they must leave. And when Yoon asks if she's all right, Mi-yeon suddenly lowers her head. After a brief pause, she lifts her head, meets their eyes, and says she is fine. Ji-ho pulls out his phone and notices the signal has returned, but as they try to call for help, the connection abruptly cuts off again. Meanwhile, Mi-yeon keeps repeating that she's fine, though suddenly her head drops once more. Dong steps forward to check on her, but she screams that she's fine, then bolts for the door and violently starts banging her head against it. Horrified, they watch as blood begins to trickle down Mi-yeon's forehead, prompting Dong and Ja-yeong to rush to stop her. She then suddenly stops, turns around, and silently reaches for the broken baseball bat. She declares they must leave and then turns to the others, insisting they must kill her. Directing her gaze at Sawwoo, she repeats, they have to kill her. Dong orders Mi-yeon to drop the bat, but she keeps repeating the same thing. And suddenly, she straightens her head and lunges towards Sawwoo with the bat raised. But Dong and the others intervene, prying it from her grip. Mi-yeon hurls Ji-ho aside and snarls at him. And when she moves to attack Sawwoo again, Ja-yeong blocks her path. Laughing bitterly, Mi-yeon says, she is not even your real sister. And just then, Ji-ho drives the bat into Mi-yeon's back, ending her torment. Dong and Yi-yoon rush forward to Mi-yeon's side, and Dong asks Ji-ho what he just did, causing Ji-ho to snap out of the possession, and his face pales as he sees Mi-yeon lying lifeless on the ground. Just then, Ja-yeong hears a noise, and when she turns to look, she sees In-young sitting there, who disappears the next moment. Dong finds Mi-yeon's paper in her jacket and reads it, while Yi-yoon tries to calm Ji-ho, insisting it was an accident. Dong calls it murder, but Ji-ho asks why he'd kill Mi-yeon just to save Sawwoo. Dong replies, maybe he wanted to, and shows him Mi-yeon's question, will I be able to escape, Ji-ho? In a flashback, it is revealed that Jae-ho discovered Mi-yeon was having an affair with their teacher, which explained her top marks. He had recorded them on video and was blackmailing her. Mi-yeon pleads that if the video gets out, she will never get into Seoul National, but Ji-ho coldly replies that she should have thought of that before fooling around, and that he's relying on her for tomorrow's exam. Frustrated and desperate, Mi-yeon threatens to expose his secret spy cam account to everyone. Dong accuses him of dragging them there just to kill her, but Ji-ho insists that this is not true, explaining that the last thing he remembers is Mi-yeon going after Sawwoo. Dong decides to check the footage. And when Jiho sees himself killing Mi-yeon, he insists, "This is not me." He explains that the person in the video is limping and demonstrates by walking normally, saying he walks fine. Suddenly, he hears a gurgling sound from above, but no one is visible. Jiho walks again to prove his leg is fine, but Mi-yeon suddenly grabs his leg and knocks him down. He struggles to free himself, but Mi-yeon pulls him away. Suddenly, a tube light bursts, and pieces fall onto his face. And just then, the lights go off completely, plunging the room into darkness. They turn on their flashlights and scan the area, but Jiho is nowhere to be found. They start searching for him when blood drips down Yeon's face, and when they look up, Jiho is sitting there with a knife in his hand. Suddenly, he lunges at Dong and tries to stab him, causing everyone to panic, and the scene abruptly cuts. Next, we see that they have Jiho chained up, and Ja-yeong notices a bubble floating above Sawoo. As she moves towards her, Sawoo begins vomiting black liquid, causing everyone to rush to check on her and try to snap her out of it, but only then do they realize that the mark on her foot is fading. Ja-yeong insists they have to do the seance again because she thinks something went wrong during it. They check the footage, and Ja-yeong explains that they are cursed because they broke the rules, explaining that they were supposed to leave in the order they got their answers. But Yi-yoon left first, and they removed the bag without saying please, which means the ritual is not complete, so they must do it again, Dong says. But Mi-yeon is dead, to which Ja-yeong insists her body is still there. Dong checks Jiho's paper, which is inscribed with the question, "Will my video get 1 million views?" They begin the ritual, and after some time, the bubble appears again, floating above Sawoo. As it bursts, she suddenly sits up, raising her hand and pointing her finger toward Mi-yeon, and the same letter appears on her paper. Afterwards, letters start appearing, one by one, on everyone's paper, and they feel the ritual is working. Ja-yeong suggests they all say, "Please leave together," but Sawoo interrupts, asking if she really has to leave. She removes the bag from her head herself, and Ja-yeong realizes that she is In-young. Dong insists that they must end the ritual right now, and In-young says, "See you later," before her head bows down. Her friends tell her she is not her sister and emphasize the need to end it now. They begin repeating the phrase, "Please leave," over and over again. They then push Mi-yeon out of the pentagram because she was the first to find the answer. Next, they push Jiho, and one by one, they leave the circle. Suddenly, a notification appears on Jiho's phone, indicating that the network has been restored. Dong immediately dials emergency services, and they ask for their location, assuring him that help is on the way. Later, Dong pulls out his phone and types, "I like you." And seeing the message, Ja-yeong replies, "Me too." Then, she says, "Let's escape, no matter what." Just then, the candle flickers out, plunging the room into darkness, and whispering echoes bounce off the walls, mingling with strange, unidentifiable sounds. Dong turns the light on, only to see Jiho lying motionless some distance away. They review the footage and discover that Sawoo untied Jiho's chain, after which he stepped directly into view and slits his own throat with a knife, shocking everyone watching. Frustrated, Yi-yoon asks, "Why isn't this over?" Before rushing to the door, she pounds on it desperately, screaming for help, but after a while, eerie whispers fill the air, and her neck unnaturally bends backward. She starts choking, eyes wide with terror, and before anyone can grasp what's happening, she raises her hands in helpless surrender and stumbles forward, falling into the water. Panicking, the others rush to save her, and with all their strength, they pull her struggling body from the depths, finally pulling her face above the water. Later, holding Jiho's paper, Dong declares the prophecy came true. He returns to them and tells them that their video got 1 million views. He then adds, "Mi-yeon's prophecy came true too, not being able to escape Jiho." He explains, both of them died after their prophecies came true, and he thinks that's what's causing the deaths. They examine Sawoo's paper, which reads, "Does Ja-yeong like me?" Yi-yoon then hands Dong her paper, which reads, "Who does Dong like?" And the answer is Flower, Young. She says she doesn't care whether the person she likes ends up with her friend, or vice versa, but she is determined not to die. She then gets up, gripping a knife, and declares she won't end like this. She points the knife at Dong, asking if sacrificing Ja-yeong means they will survive. She then turns towards Ja-yeong, who asks why she is doing this. But as she lunges toward Ja-yeong, Dong intervenes and stops her. Enraged, Ja-yeong struggles, but Ja-yeong quickly grabs the chain and ties her hands and feet. And suddenly, a hidden door creaks open, followed by many more. They enter a dim room lined with countless talismans hanging ominously on the walls. And as they carefully move forward, they come across a cloth inscribed with the word death. Dong and Ja-yeong split up, each exploring other rooms, and upon returning, Ja-yeong confirms they are exactly the same. Dong realizes this isn't just a reservoir. It was constructed for the ritual from the very beginning. Dong enters a room again and spots a talisman with the number 666 inscribed on it. Curiously, he turns it over and reads an eerie message on the back. When 5 prophecies are fulfilled and 5 lives are taken, a body is bestowed. Suddenly, Dong hears Ja-yeong's piercing scream, and he rushes out in panic, only to find Ja-yeong's lifeless body sprawled on the floor. As he moves forward, he is horrified to see a corpse hanging from one of the pillars, and thinking it's Ja-yeong, he approaches to check, but someone stabs him with a knife in his back, and it's revealed that the attacker is Ja-yeong herself. In a flashback, Ja-yeong tells Dong about the YouTube contest, explaining that Ji-ho wanted to do it, and she thought it would be good if they participated together. Later, Dong sees Ja-yeong talking with Ji-ho, telling him about the contest. Dong realizes that it was Ja-yeong who orchestrated everything and asks, "But why us?" To which she reveals she promised to protect her sister. Losing her sister shattered her world, but what hurt most was how everyone laughed as if mocking her pain. One day, Ja-yeong saw her sister searching for something in the bathroom, and she playfully asked for her help. But suddenly, In-young fell, shattering the moment. Their mother blamed their father for her death, accusing him of coming home late and causing the tragedy, and the tension grew until their broken trust led to separation. One day, her father brought a woman home and told Ja-yeong that she was his new mother, then introduced her to his stepsister, Sa-woo. When Ja-yeong grew up, one day she read about a ritual and decided to bring her sister back to life. Dong tries to escape, but Ja-yeong quickly wraps a chain around his neck, strangling him until he finally dies. She begins the ritual again, and, after a while, Sa-woo raises her arm, pointing directly at Ja-yeong. Ja-yeong looks down and realizes the ritual is working. She then starts chanting an incantation, and at the same time, the spirit water begins to boil. And a sudden, strong wind sweeps through the room. Candles ignite on their own, flickering wildly but undeterred. Ja-yeong continues her incantation. Moments later, her eyes open to a shimmering bubble floating toward her, through which she sees In-young standing before her. Ja-yeong steps closer and carefully removes the bag from In-young's head. In-young asks, "Who are you?" And Ja-yeong gently replies, "I'm your sister." She then apologizes for arriving late, taking full responsibility and saying it was all her fault. In-young wonders how much time has passed, but Ja-yeong says she missed her. In-young remembers falling in the bathroom, yet Ja-yeong says she woke up in the hospital. In-young asks where they are now, but Ja-yeong says she will explain everything. But first, let's get out of here. She starts taking In-young away from there, but suddenly, In-young becomes possessed and begins whispering something chilling. It's revealed that Dong has grabbed her leg and alarmed. Ja-yeong immediately tries to free In-young's leg from his grip. But just then, the spirits of her dead friends, through Sa-woo, ask why she killed them. The demon possessing her sister snatches the anklet away, saying she has seen her sister and now it's her turn. The demon moves toward her, laughing sinisterly, before thanking her for pulling it out of hell. Suddenly, it grabs Ja-yeong by the neck, squeezing with all its strength, trying to strangle her, but all Ja-yeong can see in front of her is her sister. Next, her soul becomes trapped inside the spirit water, desperately screaming for help, as her question is shown, "Will I be able to see my sister again?" The demon then moves towards the camera and suddenly hurls it aside. Next, a footage plays where Ji-ho introduces himself, telling viewers that he planned this video to discover if Seance rituals are real, and his dream is to become a YouTube star. Then, Mi-yeon introduces herself, sharing her dream of getting into Seoul National University. Following her, Dong says his dream is to take over Korean baseball. Yi-in introduces herself next, mentioning she has some questions about love. Ja-yeong shares her dream of living happily with her family and wants to ask about family matters. Finally, Sa-woo introduces herself, expressing that her dream is for her sister to be happy.